The crisp air of Vermont embraced us as my partner Sarah and I arrived at our secluded mountain cabin. The towering pines wore thick blankets of snow, casting long shadows across the pristine landscape. Our snowboarding trip promised a weekend of adventure, but little did we know it would turn into a nightmare. As we settled into the cabin, its rustic charm offered solace from the biting cold outside. A cozy fire crackled in the hearth, casting dancing shadows on the log walls. The snow-covered mountains framed our window like silent sentinels, guarding the secrets hidden beneath the frozen surface. Our first day on the slopes was magical. The sun glistened on the snow, and laughter echoed through the woods as we carved our way down the slopes. But as evening fell, the enchanting landscape morphed into a haunting wilderness. Returning to our cabin, we noticed peculiar footprints leading up to the door, human-like but elongated and distorted. Unease crawled up my spine as I glanced at Sarah. She dismissed it, blaming it on the wind or some odd animal. Yet, a nagging sense of foreboding lingered. That night, the wind whispered haunting melodies, and the shadows danced in a sinister ballet. As we lay in bed, strange sounds echoed through the cabin, soft footsteps, creaking floorboards. I dismissed it as my imagination, but Sarah's eyes widened with terror. With trepidation, we investigated the source of the sounds. The cabin seemed to exhale a shivering breath, as if harboring secrets in its time-worn walls. We stumbled upon a chilling sight. The footprints we'd seen earlier continued inside, leading to the bedroom. A cold sweat bathed us as we realized we were not alone. Panic set in when we glimpsed a figure standing in the shadows, a faceless silhouette against the moonlit snow. It radiated malevolence, its form shifting like smoke. Frozen in terror, we watched as the figure approached. It whispered unheard words, sending shivers down our spines. With each step, it seemed to absorb the darkness around it, growing more ominous. The room felt colder, the air thick with an otherworldly presence. In a desperate attempt to escape, we fled into the frigid night, the figure pursuing relentlessly. The snow-covered trees whispered ancient secrets, and the wind carried a chorus of haunting wails. We ran until our lungs burned, but the figure was always there, faceless, implacable. Cornered in the frozen forest, we turned to face our pursuer, only to find ourselves alone. The trees stood sentinel, and the wind carried away the echoes of our pounding hearts. As we caught our breath, a chilling realization set in. Whatever had haunted us wasn't human. As I share this tale, let it serve as a cautionary reminder. In the quiet corners of the world, in the embrace of nature's beauty, there may be things unseen, waiting. Trust your instincts, for sometimes the most serene landscapes hide the darkest secrets. The mountains may call, but beware the menace that lurks within the snow-covered silence. It was a cold winter night in the small English town of Ravenswood. The streets were deserted, blanketed in a thick layer of freshly fallen snow. The amber glow of streetlights flickered, casting eerie shadows on the silent, snow-covered houses. I, a typical teenager named Jake, decided to brave the cold for a late-night snack. The only place open at this hour was the local fish and chip shop, a dimly lit establishment with a flickering neon sign that barely cut through the darkness. As I crunched through the icy snow on the way back home, an uneasy feeling settled in the pit of my stomach. The rhythmic tap of my footsteps echoed through the desolate streets, amplifying the eerie silence. My breath hung in the frigid air as I quickened my pace, trying to shake off the growing unease. Approaching my quiet neighborhood, a bone-chilling howl pierced the stillness. It wasn't the wind, it was something more primal, more sinister. I paused, heart pounding, straining my ears to discern any other sounds. The snow seemed to muffle the world, creating a surreal sense of isolation. Ignoring the nagging fear, I pressed on, footsteps now accompanied by the faint echo of distant laughter. Goosebumps crawled up my spine as the laughter morphed into a low, guttural growl. Panic set in. I began to sprint, glancing over my shoulder at the featureless expanse of snow behind me. The shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, a distorted silhouette against the white landscape. My breath hitched as I realized I was being pursued by something unnatural, something with an insatiable hunger. My mind raced, desperately searching for an escape. With each step, the predator closed the gap, its presence sending shivers down my spine. I could feel its malevolence, a palpable force that sought to consume me. My footsteps became erratic, my breath ragged, and the laughter echoed louder, taunting me. Cornered, I stumbled into an alley, the frigid air stealing my breath. In the dim light, the predator materialized, a creature with hollow eyes and a grotesque grin. It spoke in a voice that chilled my soul, recounting my deepest fears and insecurities. I was paralyzed by its unearthly gaze. Just as despair set in, the creature dissipated like mist in the wind. The laughter lingered, echoing in the empty alley. I was left alone, shaken and disoriented, the snow falling softly around me. As dawn broke, I stumbled home, haunted by the night's terror. The once familiar streets felt alien, as if the very fabric of reality had shifted. The encounter had changed me, leaving an indelible mark on my psyche. My advice to you, dear listener, is to beware the winter night. There are forces that lurk in the shadows, waiting to prey on the unsuspecting. Trust your instincts, and if you ever hear the chilling laughter in the snow, run. Run until the first light of dawn, for there are things in the darkness that should never be faced alone. Winter's icy fingers clutched at the old house, its time-worn facade barely visible through the relentless snowfall. As the caretaker of Mr. Lawrence's estate, my responsibilities involved maintaining the property while he, a blind man with no immediate family, resided peacefully in the quiet town below. Little did I know that the tranquility I had come to associate with this duty was about to be shattered by an ominous presence. One frigid evening, a blizzard howled outside, creating an eerie symphony of wind and snow against the creaking walls. I sat by the fireplace, sipping tea, when an uneasy feeling settled in my bones. The sense that something was amiss seeped into the room, amplifying the flickering shadows dancing on the walls. I reluctantly rose, the wooden floorboards groaning beneath my weight. As I moved through the darkened halls, my senses heightened. The caretaker's sixth sense, they called it, developed through years of caring for Mr. Lawrence's home. A shiver ran down my spine as I reached the study, finding the door slightly ajar, a draft whistling through the gap. With trepidation, I pushed the door open, revealing a disheveled room. Drawers lay open, papers scattered like leaves in the wind. Panic clawed at my chest when I realized the sanctuary had been violated. Fear mingled with responsibility, compelling me to investigate further. The trail of chaos led to Mr. Lawrence's bedroom. The scene was unsettling, his personal space desecrated. I swallowed hard, determined to protect him from the malevolent force that invaded our refuge. My hands trembled as I reached for the phone, only to find the line dead. Isolation intensified the terror that gripped me. Amid the turmoil, a chilling realization struck me. The intruder had not come merely to pilfer valuables. Their intentions were darker, more sinister. A cold sweat coated my skin as I pondered the extent of the danger we faced. In the dim light, I stumbled upon a hidden passage within the study, a secret corridor constructed to aid Mr. Lawrence in navigating his home. Now it became my lifeline, a means to move undetected. The clandestine path led to the attic, where I discovered a silhouette against the moonlit snow. The intruder, now pacing near the house. My breath hitched as I witnessed the figure's malevolent glee. Their eyes reflected the warped pleasure of a predator closing in on its prey. In that heart-stopping moment, the truth emerged. The intruder sought not just to rob, but to harm, to exploit the vulnerability of a blind man and his caregiver. With a newfound determination, I rushed to Mr. Lawrence, guiding him through the concealed passage to safety. As we reached the hidden door, the intruder's sinister laughter echoed through the house. In the shadows, I glimpsed a wicked grin, a visage etched with sadistic pleasure. The authorities arrived just in time, apprehending the intruder who had sought to exploit the blind man's home. The threat was neutralized, but the scars lingered. As the snowstorm subsided, leaving behind an unsettling calm, I reflected on the vulnerability that lurks even in the most unexpected corners of our lives. In the aftermath, I realized the importance of being vigilant and proactive in safeguarding those we care for. Be prepared for the unexpected. In the darkest moments, courage and resourcefulness can turn the tide. Never underestimate the lengths some may go to exploit vulnerability, and always prioritize the safety of yourself and those under your care.